Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Karan Rose.
Thank you to everybody tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And as usual, it is your boy, Mr. Rose. What is going on, beautiful people? But first, DJ, you gotta fade us all the way out, DJ. We gotta talk to the people. It is Saturday, August 20th, 2022. And let me just get this right. I believe we're on episode number 94. Am I right? Yes, we are. This is episode number 94. Slowly but surely making our way up to the landmark episode 100. Slowly but surely, you know. How are you guys doing, though? How is my Digipreneur family doing? How are y'all doing? We're rolling into September. How? I don't know. This year continues to fly by at lightning speed. But you know what? It's been flying by because I feel like for me, you know, there's been so much happening. There's been so much going on. And, you know, and time flies when you are having fun, you know. If you have been taking the next steps in your life and in your business, if 2022 has been that pivotal year for you where you are starting to see the fruits of your labor that you have planted, you know, months ago, years ago, if you are finally starting to see it, you know, hey, we got to drop a bomb for you. Because I'm seeing a lot of people online finally finding their footing, you know. They have been grinding, they have been working over the years, and people are now starting to get their just due. They're now starting to find their footing. They're now getting the traction that, they're now starting to get their traction, and it's really amazing to see, man. Listen, especially because, you know, I've been interviewing a lot more people because, you know, I have the radio show every single Friday with Samantha Best Digital World. That's over on Freedom 106.5 FM with Guardian Media. And then you guys also know that I'm a contributor for the Trinidad and Tobago Newsday, one of our top newspapers in the country, one of the top media houses in the country. So every Thursday I write for the Business Newsday. And I've been interacting, you know, more and more with other entrepreneurs. And it's also put me in a position where I've been actively looking at other entrepreneurs, you know. So before, you know, I mean, you're grinding, you know, your head's down, you're focused, you're doing your thing. And I mean, I'm still doing that. But this year, because of, you know, the things that I'm involved in, I really have been, you know, looking at other entrepreneurs and kind of see what they're doing. And it's been really good to see, you know, people finally finding their way. So again, big shout outs to you. We have some incredible people coming up that are doing their thing right now. And you know what? At some point soon, I want to start getting back into interviewing people for the podcast. So right now, you know, every Fridays I'm interviewing people on the digital world, but the content that we do on radio is very different from the content, that I would do on the podcast. And it's funny because even if you ask the same question to the same person, because it's radio, we have limitations. You have limitations as to, how far or how deep or what you would say on radio. But, when you're on the podcast, it's like no holds barred. Like you could say what you want. I mean, as long as you are legally allowed to say what you have to say, people tend to be, more free on the podcast, and radio tends to be, a bit of a watered down version of the response that you really want to give. And in knowing that and seeing that, because I'm in it now, I can't wait to start getting guests back onto the podcast and having some real candid conversations. But I'm pacing myself. I'm pacing myself. This year, 2022, I haven't really done. I've had a couple of guests on the podcast, but not like last year. Last year, I interviewed a lot. I interviewed a good amount of people on the live streams, and then we converted it over to the podcast. So some point we're gonna get back into it. But I've been pacing myself. This year has really been about we're leveling up, but we're leveling up at a steady pace to avoid any kind of burnout. I still feel like. I'm doing load management. Like I'm working, but I'm definitely managing myself this year, and I'm pacing myself this year. Whereas in the years prior, I felt like I was on go, not to the point of burnout, but I was going, I was pumping, I was grinding hard. I was putting in that work. But this year, I definitely do feel like a lot has changed. A lot's been happening, a lot has changed. So I've just been kind of pacing myself. But anyways. Let's get away from that. What are we here for today? What is the topic for today? Today's podcast episode, today's topic is 3 of the key reasons why Caribbean businesses don't produce content for their business. 3 of the key reasons why Caribbean businesses do not produce content for their business. Whew. Now, there's a number of reasons. There is definitely a number of reasons why businesses are not producing content, and why most businesses are still producing ads and still trying to hard sell, and they really haven't embraced creating content for your business. And we know that most businesses still haven't embraced creating content, because when you jump on Google and you type in a question, it doesn't matter what the question is, chances are you're not getting any localized information for your country. All right, you're going to get something from another country simply because a lot of the businesses are not producing content. They don't have websites, they're not producing content. And when they do put out anything on social media, 9 out of 10 times it is an ad, hard selling their product or services. Now, I did a little write-up of a post on social media yesterday about this, and it kind of sparked the podcast. It sparked the podcast idea, because when I'm reading through the comments, people think that I'm only speaking about corporate companies, and everybody's response is talking about corporate companies, and they don't believe in investing in content, and it's not just the corporate companies, it's everybody. It's businesses from every single spectrum in the Caribbean, from the smallest to the largest. People still are not producing content. So the excuse of, businesses don't want to invest in content and we still have dinosaurs. Yeah, that's just one reason for corporations, but even the smallest, from micro, small to medium, still not producing content, right? And to me, there are a number of reasons, but there are three reasons to me that really stick out whenever I think about, why in 2022, when every single social media platform is telling you they want content and they're literally forcing you to produce video content, why are businesses still not producing content? Like no social media platform is giving you reach if you're not doing video, right? That's just on social media. There are different types of content for different purposes, and all forms of content thrive in their own context. But if we're just looking at social media for 1 second, if we're looking at social media in a vacuum, every single social media platform is straight up telling you that they want video on their platform. They want content. They want things that are engaging, that are going to suck people in to keep the users on their platform. So they've forced you to do video. They have forced you to think about video content in a way to keep people on their platform. And why in going into September of 2022, why are most businesses still not producing content for their business is wild. But to me, there are three reasons that stick out as to why businesses are still not producing content, right? So when we are talking about content, I'm not just talking about video. I'm talking about all forms of content. That could be blogs, it could be podcasts, it could be video, it could be infographics, it could be white papers, it could be PDFs, it could be a book, like a full out 30,000 word industry leading book, right? It could be digital courses. We're talking about all forms of content. Businesses are not producing content. And this is not just a Trinidad and Tobago, this is a Caribbean-wide issue. 9 out of 10 businesses are not creating content, and the number, the number is so high because, like I said, just jump on Google. Type in a question that you want information on. Whatever the industry is, you're not going to get localized information, and that's because businesses are not producing content. Typically, if you do get the answer to your question, or you do get the answer to your question, or you do even find something on Google that is even remotely in the ballpark, it's usually because a media house has done a feature on somebody in that space, and the topic in that article kind of comes up. But that's not the actual business producing the content, right? Most businesses still believe in press releases. And again, when they do jump on social media, they're hard selling. They're just showing their product or showing their service. And that's that. They're so disconnected from their audience. They don't know what their audience wants. And then they're disconnected from what is happening in the world. Because if you really are looking at what is happening in the world and what is happening in the market and what is happening on all of these digital channels that we use, then you would understand that you have to produce content. So the fact that you're not producing content and you still believe that a graphics artist is what you need to be able to whip up some doo-doo graphic, put it on social media. When you don't get no reach, you complain, or you think that social media is uber expensive because you spend 80% of your budget on boosting graphic posts. So let me dive into 3 reasons that stick out to me why businesses, small all the way up to corporate, enterprise, government, why Caribbean businesses and institutions are not producing content. You guys ready? Let's do this. So, number one, this is the starting point to me. Creating content that does well on social media for businesses. Okay? We're talking businesses. We're not talking about, content creators creating random funny content. We're talking about content for businesses. So, reason number one why Caribbean businesses do not produce content is content for your business requires expertise. Now, when you say it out loud and when you hear me saying it and when you were repeating it to yourself, you're probably thinking, well, duh, isn't the business an expert at what they do? Well, not all the time. Think about how many people have started businesses because think about how many people have started businesses for the wrong reasons, right? So they have started a business because they have seen other people doing it. They started a business because it's a side hustle and they think they can make a quick dollar. They started a business with the wrong information to begin with. Maybe they didn't do their market research or really understand what's going on in their space and they just jumped into it, right? So we have a lot of people who have started a business for the wrong reasons, or they've jumped into a business that is just buy and sell, right? Buy low, sell high, and that is that. How many businesses do you walk into and you realize they're just trying to sell you every single thing under the sun? There's no real thought process or strategy with their particular business. They're just trying to sell you everything. I've walked into cell phone stores here in Trinidad, and they're selling you vape products. And you're like, how did you guys end up selling vape when your store is a cell phone store? Why aren't you guys doubling down and focusing on cell phones? All right? So we are accustomed to going into businesses and you're seeing them, sell you everything under the sun. Everybody wants to sell everything and provide every single service under the sun, right? So businesses are being started for the wrong reasons. And because they are started for the wrong reasons, they're not taking the time to actually become an expert in their space. Right? So that's a big one for me. Because in order to create good content for your business that thrives on not just on social media, but also so that you could probably turn into a podcast, or you could blog or do a white paper, you start to realize infographics. You start to realize that when you look at, the types of content that you need to create from a business perspective, the person has to be an expert. The person has to know, they have to know their industry. They have to know their industry. Let me give you an example. Let's take a pop. I'm gonna pick on a business. Let's take Excellent Stores in Trinidad and Tobago. Right? Excellent Stores is a well-known appliance chain or home chain. Let me see. Let me Google and see what do they list themselves as. Let me see. So Excellent Stores says they are the largest, and I just Googled Excellent Stores because I wanted to see what do they consider themselves, right? So here's what Excellent Stores considers themselves. They say they are the largest and only true department store in Trinidad and Tobago. They are a household name and offer the widest selection of appliances and home tools and home, where'd it go? and home store stuff, right? Household name, widest selection, offers the widest selection in-store and online. New items are added weekly. Oh my God, this is just bad grammar. Hold on, let me just read this over. So this is why I got confused, because this is just terrible grammar. Oh my God, why? Oh God, Excellent Stores, boy, they're a joke. Anyways, Excellent Store says, okay, I'm gonna read this word for word. This is what they describe their business as. This is on Facebook, right? They are the largest and only true department store in Trinidad and Tobago. Excellent Stores Limited is a household name and offers the widest selection in-store and online. New items are added weekly to our online store. However, if you don't see what you are looking for, let us know. Jesus Christ. You are the largest department store. Largest and only true department store. You offer the widest selection in-store and online. Offer the widest selection of what? You don't say what you offer. You don't say what you offer. What do you offer? The widest selection in-store and online of what? If you ever want to see a brand that just falters at every opportunity, check out Excellent Stores. But anyways, that's what their Facebook page says, right? So looking at something else, Excellent Stores on their website, they have categories for storage, beauty, clothing, baby, and kids products. All right? They're your one-stop shop for those items. All right? Gift registries, you name it, home essentials, kitchen, home essentials, and whatnot. So I just pulled some of those categories from their website, right? Now, if we're looking at them, if we take a look at their Facebook page, let me just pull that back up. Now, they offer a wide assortment of categories, right? Household items, baby products, kid products, appliances. They offer a lot of stuff, okay? When you go on their Facebook page, the very first piece of content that comes up is a repurposed TikTok video that the social media manager wouldn't even remove the TikTok emblem off of the video. Because, I mean, why would they? Facebook or Meta straight up said that if you are repurposing a TikTok video on their platform and the logo is still there, they are going to decrease the reach on it, right? They're going to bury that if you leave the TikTok emblem in. So, smart people would run the TikTok video through any of the apps that remove the TikTok emblem before posting it over on any Meta platform so that they could extend their reach, because they know, smart social media people know, that Meta is burying any repurposed TikTok videos that have the TikTok emblem in the video. So that's the first thing that comes up. And what is in that video, folks? It's a video of a cocktail party set for 70 TT, and that's all it says. It's just a product. It's just a video showing the cocktail party set. It has the price, and it says happy hour. That's it. Happy hour. $70. So we're talking about why businesses don't create content, and number one is expertise. Why wouldn't you, if you sell all of these items, right? You can have so much fun with your content. Why is it that you are hard selling on TikTok? Why are you just showing me a video, a 5-second video of the cocktail shaker with the price? Why wouldn't you have a mixologist do something with the video? Even if you don't have a mixologist, because, you got to pay somebody to do it. Why wouldn't you just have a staff? We're all alcohol. Half these people are alcoholics, and I say that with love. We're in the Caribbean. Oh God, we love to drink. Why wouldn't you just have some fun and have staff mix a drink with the cocktail party set? And show us you're having fun. You don't even need the mixologist. Just have a staff member, some staff member mixing drinks and just showing us how it works and having fun with it. That would be a better sell, or that would be a better form of content than you just taking a 5-second video with the price of the product, right? How do we use it? How does it work? And that's why I say the first thing to me that always comes to mind is just the lack of expertise in this industry, in creating content in any industry. Because you need to know your industry. You need to know your products. You need to know how these things work. And if you don't have expertise in your space, then how are you going to create content? Content as a business requires expertise in your industry, in your space. You don't have to be an expert content creator. You just need to be an expert in your industry. That's a key for me, right? There are a bunch of reasons why businesses aren't creating content. I'm just talking about 3 that really stick out to me as to why businesses are not creating content. And that, for me, number 1 is expertise. Excellent Stores has a wide variety of products. They are the widest selection of whatever they're selling, right? And when you go through all of their posts, look, the next post is a graphic. Baby items, a picture of CeraVe wash and shampoo, a picture of it, white background with just the image and the price. A picture of baby clothes and the price. A picture of a sit-up and play nest and just the price. And look, 5 likes. No engagement, 5 likes, and that's it. Why wouldn't you be talking about CeraVe, the benefits of wash and shampoo? You just said you're the widest selection of products for whatever. So if you're talking about wash and shampoo, that's a great time to start to work with, moms. Whether they are professional content creators in the baby space, right? Where are the mompreneurs at, right? Where are the women who are creating content around baby products and baby stuff, whatever? We have those, right? But again, even if you don't want to go and outsource it, your Excellent Stores, you have women there. You have moms, either new moms or moms who with multiple kids who have used your products. Why wouldn't you have a video with a couple of staff, whatever, giving their opinion on the CeraVe wash and shampoo, right? We have multiple ethnicities in Trinidad and Tobago. You could pick up somebody with an Indian background, an African background, a Spanish background, a Chinese background. We have all these different ethnicities. We have all of these different skin types and hair types and whatnot. So why wouldn't you, round up a couple of people that have, just different types of hair and whatnot, and ask them to try it out on their kids and report back and see how it works and let everybody give their opinion. Again, and that's just with your own staff. That's just with your own staff. And I can guarantee even your staff who, they're not no professional shampoo reviewers, whatever, but I know they're going to know the end result of what that product did for their kid and how it worked. And they could break it down in detail or whatever, whether it worked, whether it was good, whether it was bad. And again, you're using different parents that have, different kids with different hair types and whatnot. So everybody can kind of get an idea as to how it works with the different hair types. That would be great content, right? That'd be great content. So you're either working with professionals who know the products inside and out and have them break it down, or you get creative and you use what you have internally, right? So first thing for me is content requires expertise. And when you look at the majority of these businesses, they're starting businesses for the wrong reasons, which is why they don't have the specialization or the expertise in the business that they are in to be able to create content that can educate the audience. Remember, we are looking for businesses who are, you're in business to solve a problem, right? Your product or service helps to solve a problem, or it helps us to achieve a desire. One of the two. Simple maths. And we follow you on socials, or we Google you, or we listen to your podcast, because if you are in a particular space, a particular industry, we want to learn more about your industry, more about your space, so that your information can help us solve a problem or achieve a desire and live, more fulfilling lives. So content requires expertise, right? The second reason that really sticks out to me why Caribbean businesses largely don't produce content is because you need to be able to communicate your knowledge and expertise in a way that people can understand and learn from. You need to be able to communicate your knowledge in a way that people can understand and learn from. And that is that's a major issue we have, because so many of the businesses just struggle to transfer that knowledge. For one, a lot of businesses don't believe that they should be educating their audience, right? A lot of businesses don't believe they should even be educating their audience. But then, are you able to transfer that knowledge to people? And you see it even in the posts that you do see, even in the static images that you do see. When you pose a question, when you ask a question, or when you call a business to get answers, how many of them, for one, actually have the expertise to answer your question, right? So forget the content. Let's just say you do see the product, or you have a question about the service. How many times, and again, this is from the smallest company to the largest company. It doesn't matter. We're not talking strictly about corporate. This is from the one-man show to the largest competitor. How many times do you call a business and you ask a question and they don't have the expertise to answer your question? That happens to me damn near every day. But then, even when they do have the information, some of them just can't communicate their knowledge in a way that is easy for you to understand. And I mean, we we look when we read the papers, we see a lot of our journalists speak in heights, use all the biggest words, and you read the articles, and again, half the time you don't even understand, because of the amount of big words they're using and the jargons that they're using. A lot of the businesses, when you hear them on panels, a lot of the owners, a lot of the people within the businesses themselves, they get on panels, they get on lives, they get on interviews, and they just can't communicate their knowledge. They cannot communicate their information. They use a lot of jargon. They try to confuse you with a lot of big words, and you're just left more confused than ever before. And that's just in the interviews. That's just in the webinars, in the lives. So we have a major issue with communicating that knowledge. We have a big issue with knowledge transfer in the Caribbean. A lot of businesses just don't believe they should, one, be educating your audience. And then when you do manage to get on a call with them, they can't explain themselves or explain it in a way that you can understand. Right? And then you have to remember too, right? Even when you do get a business who, they're dope at what they do, maybe they don't understand how to translate that information onto the particular medium that they're using. So maybe they just don't know how to transfer that information via video. Maybe they don't know how to write about it via blog. So they can't articulate themselves via a blog, or they can't jump on a podcast and do a podcast on their industry because they're not good at speaking. All right. So being able to communicate that knowledge. So, okay, you have the knowledge, but are you able to communicate that knowledge, whether it is via written, whether it's via a video, or whether it's via a podcast, audio? Are you able to communicate that knowledge? And a lot of businesses struggle to communicate that knowledge. A lot of folks in general just struggle to communicate that knowledge. So we move past step one. Okay, we're talking to people with the knowledge. Are you able to communicate that knowledge via a medium that people can understand? Can you do that via video? Can you do that via podcast? Can you do it via blog? And there are people who are just not good at doing video that would be better off writing it out. There are people who straight up say, I can't write for nothing, but I could do a video. People need to learn what is the best way that they can communicate their knowledge. What is the best platform? Listen to me. There are so many people that I see doing video because the easiest thing for them might be just to be able to turn the camera on, turn their smartphone camera on, and just record and upload. That might be the easiest thing for them to do. But just because it's the easiest thing for you to do, if you cannot communicate your knowledge, and if you can't do it in a way where your audience is receiving that information and is understanding and can understand where you are coming from or the point that you are making, then you are failing in that medium. And you are going to need to reevaluate, okay, you know what, maybe video is not for me. What is another medium? What is another channel that I could use that I can transfer my knowledge about my industry? Because people are not, for whatever reason, they're not understanding what I'm saying over on video. Am I a better writer? Do I get camera shock and that's why I suck on video? Maybe podcasting might be better. Like, you have to figure out what is the best medium for you to be able to transfer that knowledge. Because if you are doing video or you're doing written posts and you can't articulate yourself, you can't communicate, then your audience is going to suffer. Your audience is just going to tune you out. Because we just don't understand where you're coming from. There are some, listen to me, I read some posts over on LinkedIn where people just, they don't do video and they just do they write an essay in their comments. And I'm like, you've lost me. What exactly are you trying to say? Maybe you should do a video. Or maybe you should maybe you should do a podcast on the same topic. Because then we might understand where you're coming from. And I don't think we have enough people, especially in the Caribbean, because nobody wants to step on nobody's toes. So they're just going to encourage you. But ain't nobody coming and telling you, hey, listen, man, your videos are bad. And we're not talking quality. We're talking about your content. Your video content is bad. Nobody's telling people, listen, I just read your post and I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. No one's telling you that. No one's telling these people that. No one is telling these people that. And they're not reflecting to see, you know, let me look at the comments to see if my point was understood. All right. And again, that could be, that could be, you know, whether it is a podcast, whether it's a video, whether it is a written post or a blog. I always look, when I look at comments, So after I make a post, remember, I do every form of content, right? Written, audio, video, whatever. When I look at the contents, I tend to look for people who understood my message. I'm not looking if you agree or not. You could disagree. That's neither here nor there. But if you are disagreeing, did you at least understand where I'm coming from? And then is your disagreement because you have a difference of opinion, but you understood what I said, right? As long as you've understood what I said, you could have another opinion. You could disagree. That's perfectly fine with me. As long as you understood where I'm coming from. If you have understood me, if you have misunderstood me, right? Then I might comment back and be like, hey, that wasn't what I was trying to communicate. And I might further explain myself in the comments. And as long as the person is not committed to misunderstanding me and they say, oh, okay, I understand what you're saying, I still disagree, or hey, or I understand what you're saying now, and I agree, whatever. As long as you understand where I'm coming from, then I know that I've communicated myself to the best of my ability, and you've understood where I'm coming from, and we can go from there. You don't have to agree, but as long as you've understood, I'm good. But then it also lets me know that for the next time when I am doing a piece of content, regardless of the medium, I know I need to cover other things so that people can understand where I am coming from or understand my point better. All right? Because being able to communicate your knowledge is critical. And I think that is a huge reason why a lot of businesses do not create content, is because they don't actually understand how to translate their information or their knowledge in a way where other people can understand. So for one, you need to have that expertise. I think that's a big problem why businesses don't create content. And then two, are you able to take your expertise, take your information, and then communicate it to your audience for them to understand in a medium that you do well in communicating in and that you can get your point across? Those are two key reasons that stick out to me why businesses across the Caribbean are not creating content. The third reason that sticks out to me, like I said in the beginning, there are a lot of reasons, but I'm giving you three that stick out to me that might not be said on other channels, right? So I'm giving you three reasons that stick out to me why Caribbean businesses are not creating content. And the third reason is that businesses aren't taking the time to create content on a platform that they can excel at, be consistent with, and allow for their knowledge to shine through on the platform that they're on. Now, I kind of touched on this in point number 2. I kind of went overboard on point number 2, and that was leading into my point number 3, right? So a lot of folks in these businesses cannot communicate through video or create appealing enough video for people to watch and learn from. And they're not taking the time to figure out, what medium is going to work better for them personally and put their focus on that. And businesses need to take a step back. And remember, we're not talking about just the large companies. This is from the solopreneurs to the largest companies. Folks, there are so many types of content that you can create. You need to figure out what is the best type of content and medium of communication and how you can allow your expertise to shine. So point number 3 is businesses are not taking the time to create content on a platform that they can excel at. Or is your industry, for what you guys are trying to push, for what you guys are trying to sell, Is video the best way to do that? Is a podcast the best way to do that? Is a blog, is a white paper, is an infographic? Are you taking the time to figure out what are the pieces of content that you guys can create, that you can be consistent with, and that you can excel at? Or are you taking the easiest route? And the easiest thing for you to create is a static image. You jump on Canva, you grab the picture of the image, you make it a static post, and you post that. Or just turning on your camera and shooting the product, or turning the camera around, put on the front-facing camera and just speaking to it. But if what you are doing isn't working, if you are saying things that people just, they're not receptive, they don't understand what you're talking about, or your videos are just not good in terms of the content, or maybe your personality is not best suited for video, so people are not even watching to the end of the video. Are you taking the time to sit back and say, you know what? I'm not really getting good traffic on this type of content. Let me see if I can do something else. There are a wide variety of digital channels for you to create content for, right? Social media is just one channel. And we know that social media, on the most part, favors video right now. But you still have podcasts. That's a whole digital channel by itself. You have your email marketing. You have YouTube videos. You have blogs. You have white papers. You can contribute in meet. Like, there's so many different channels to put content out. And there's so many different types of content that you can create. And you need to figure out, what can you excel at? What can you be consistent with? And what can you do to put your information out, your expertise out, communicate it well enough that people understand your point? You need to sit down and think about that. It took for me in the beginning, when I started with Droid Island, I did not do video. Because in the beginning, I wasn't good at video. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me in the beginning. For one, it just wasn't my personality to talk to a camera. And then even when I did try to jump on a camera, I was so tight. I was so stiff. I didn't figure out my own self first. So the videos weren't doing good. Everything was just all wrong in it. Right? But I like to write. So it was easier for me to communicate my point and get my knowledge across via blogs and through a written medium. And people enjoyed it. And I learned how to inject my personality into my writing. And people enjoyed my writing. And building up the blog and building my confidence through the blog allowed me to gain the confidence to start really experimenting on video. So when I started to do video good, all right, then video became effortless. Now, I say effortless in terms of, I can turn on a camera and I could talk and do my thing. I don't always want to do video, so I know the energy that I need to have for video, so I don't always do video because I don't always have that energy to do video. But when it came to podcasting, I was like, I've built up enough confidence in my writing and in video. And podcasting is a great medium for me because it's something that I can do. Like right now, I started this podcast at 4:00 in the morning. Right? I can have podcast energy at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I can wake up out of my bed and jump on a podcast with energy. all of my podcasts are done before 7 a.m. Every single one of them. Podcast hours for me are 3 to 7 a.m. And I can have that energy because it's a medium that I enjoy, that I have fun with, that I know I can communicate myself and get my point across and have fun with. And when I look at the feedback, people understand what I'm saying and they enjoy the content. So it's been a medium that I could excel at. All right? I love to write, so I can write. Videos, I don't always like to do video, but when I do decide to do video, I can do it well. I just do it very sparingly because I know myself. I don't always have the energy to do video. So, those are 3 things that stick out to me why Caribbean businesses, from the smallest to largest, are not producing content. There are other reasons. You could get into, businesses don't believe in content, so they're not investing in it. They're still following the old rules of marketing and PR. There's a lot of reasons, right? But I just wanted to touch on 3 that really stick out to me that I don't see much people talking about. And I also wanted to give my perspective on it, right? So 1, content for businesses requires expertise. So the best content is going to be content that helps us solve a problem or achieve a desire. And that requires you to have some form of expertise. We want to learn. When we follow a business, we want to learn from that business, how can your product or service help us achieve a desire or solve a problem in that particular industry? And then you can mix up the content and have fun. Again, like I gave the example with Excellent Stories, you could grab some staff and say, hey, here's some products, try it out, report back, and let's do a video on that, and let's get your opinions. So you don't have to it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to go and hire the professional, but mix it up. We do want the expertise content because remember, you are in business to solve a problem or help us achieve a desire, right? So you are going to need expertise in your profession. We absolutely hate, one of the worst customer experiences you can create is when we call your business or we contact your business and we say, hey, I'm in the market for a new washer. A lot of my clothes are, I don't know, whites or, they're heavy duty clothes. I don't know. I'm a HSC professional. So a lot of my uniforms are, this type of fabric. What would be the best machine to wash out, a mechanic uniform or a HSC uniform? Is it going to be front load, top load, whatever, right? And the person says, I don't know. Person says, I don't know. Hey, I'm in the market for a new mattress. I have sciatica. You walk into a furniture store that sells Serta, Sealy, and all them, all the expensive mattresses, and you say, "Yo, I have sciatica." Budget is not the problem. I just need to find the right mattress that allows me to get a good night's sleep and eases my sciatica. What do you recommend? The person's like, I don't know. Well, we have Sealy, we have Serta. We have a gel mattress, and you're just reading tags to us. You're just reading tags. Right? So content needs expertise. We want people in businesses to have expertise in their space. And we want to look at your content, to get information. We want to be edified. We want to be educated, and if possible, if you can entertain us too, great. But businesses will just focus on entertainment. They would just hire a funny comedian, a funny person or a popular influencer and just say, hey, do a video with this mattress, you lying on the mattress. Oh gosh, if this mattress feels real good, I could sleep on this. But that doesn't help me at all. At all. Matter of fact, you just wasted your money. You could have hired somebody who could have properly edified me on which mattress to get for my sciatica. And that would have been a great video. But that video would require expertise. Number 2, you need to be able to communicate your knowledge in a way that people can understand and learn from. If you cannot communicate your expertise because all you want to do is use the biggest words that it goes over everybody's head, you want to use all the jargon so it goes over everybody's head, so it sounds like you guys are expertise, we, Joe Public, don't understand. And if we call you or contact you or we watch your content and you guys just cannot communicate your value or communicate your expertise because you are using the wrong mediums, because the mediums you are on you're not good at doing, then we're not going to get the information. We're not going to watch the video. We're not going to listen to the podcast, nor are we going to read your blog or your article or your EP, whatever, right? So you need to be able to communicate your knowledge in a way that people can understand from. And number 3, you need to be able to create content on a platform that you can excel at, be consistent with, and allow for your knowledge to shine through on that particular platform. Review your content. Look at the comments. Are people watching your videos? When you look at the comments, did people understand what the video was talking about? Did they understand the point? Did people understand the point that you were making in your blogs? Did they listen to the podcast? Did they get it? Are you able to be consistent on those mediums? You need to review your platforms that you were on and be honest with yourself. Can you be consistent on those platforms? Are these platforms or these types of content allowing you to get your consistency on, and are they allowing your expertise to shine through on those mediums? Or do you need to say, you know what, we struggle on video, so we're either going to have to find somebody who can communicate our message better on video, or we're going to have to go and we're going to have to write some blogs. And remember, every single content type has a purpose. Every single content type thrives on their respective channels. Right? When you keep hearing video thrives on social media. That's just one channel. Podcasts is a completely different channel. Blogs are a completely different channel. Slide shares, completely different channel. You get the point. Every single content type has different channels, different distribution channels. They're found on different parts of the internet. People just focus on social media because it sounds sexy. But guess what? When you jump on Google, you type something in, you know what pops up? Blogs pop up. Videos to your YouTube channel. Podcast episodes pop up. Right? You can Google pictures. So there are tons of different types of content. Your business, whether you are small or large, needs to be auditing to see what you guys can create, what you can be consistent with, what you can be good at, what is allowing you to get your message across. And also, like I said, you guys want to be able to be experts at in your space. Even if you started the business as a hustle, please do your homework. Learn about the industry, because if you have to create content and you can't edify us, you cannot educate us or entertain us, you're just going to struggle online, because the only thing you're going to be left with doing is hard selling. All you're going to be doing is creating static posts or random videos of you showing a product or showing a service with a price. And then you're only going to be competing on price with your competitors because you can't do enough to separate yourselves. People are conducting their research online before making a purchase. And when there's the absence of information for the Caribbean audience, the Caribbean consumer, to learn about your product or service, then the only thing we're left to do is compete on price. And then if you're competing on price, that is a race to the bottom. Okay? So that is it for me in this episode. This is episode number 94. Yeah, episode number 94. If you guys and gals enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget that you guys can rate the podcast. Rating the podcast lets me know how we are doing, and also lets the prospective people who are checking out Digipreneur FM podcast for the very first time, and lets them know whether or not this is even worth listening to. So the ratings definitely do help us out. Please drop a rating. That would mean the world to me. I don't ask for much, but definitely if you're taking it in, drop at least, drop a rating on the podcast. If you really enjoyed the podcast, or again, even if you find things we can improve on, drop a review. Constructive criticism is always good. Drop a review of the podcast. The reviews help grow the Digipreneur FM podcast, and also keeps me on the pulse, lets me know how we are doing. All right, I want to create content that is aligned and works for you. All right. If you want more content from me, you guys can check me out over on social media at Keron Rose, KERONROSE. You can find me over at LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I'm the most active over on those channels, especially over on LinkedIn. All right. Don't forget to check out the KeronRose.com website to learn more about building your digital presence and monetizing your platforms. You can also check out the digipreneur.fm website to stay up to date on all podcast-related things. That is it from me, folks. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care!
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Keron Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Keron Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.